I've just got back from a holiday in Australia, and to my delight, when I opened my email, I found a beta copy of the new GenErase tool for Luminar Neo, and it is that we are going to test together today in this video. The concept is simple. The technology that drives it, however, is insanely complex. What we're going to be able to do is actually take an area of our photo where there's a distraction, and we are going to say, hey Luminar, use your generative technology to remove this, and it's going to use AI to actually calculate, or at least it should, what is going to go and replace that in the photo. How well it does it or not, that's what we're going to find out. Let's get into Luminar Neo. So I have had a play around with this tool already, and for example, if you look at this girl here holding the pumpkin, and I jump into this version, oh look, she's got more hand visible, no pumpkin, and she's had that replaced with, I can only assume, some hair of an animal. In this example here with someone pouring some tea, it's a nice clean image, and if I just jump to the original, you can see that there was a few distracting elements in the foreground. She had a wristband on, and the GenErase has got rid of all of that. Not only that, it's added a little cushion here. If we come down to this sleeping goat here, you can see we've got some writing in the background there, but if I jump over to the folder where GenErase dumps its finished version, you can see that we don't have that writing there anymore. I also used it to remove somebody from this architectural shot as well. So if I jump back over here, you can see that there's somebody on their computer. We've also got a little anomaly going on there, and I just used it to clean it up so that those elements were gone. So removing that guy from the architecture is a good example of a real-world application for this tool, and I think that's where we get the most bang for our buck with these kind of tools. Is not for the silly things like changing a pumpkin into some hair or whatever. We want to actually be able to use these tools efficiently for improving our work. So the selection of photos I've put together for us will hopefully address real-world situations, real-world problems that hopefully this tool can fix for us. Just how far we can push it, that is what we're going to find out. And I've got various situations here. Some I think should be pretty easy for it to solve. Some may be a little more difficult. So let's jump to the top here, and let's open this guy driving his boat here. And let's say we want to remove the boat in the background. It's just a distraction that we don't want. So we can come over to the GenErase tool here. And as you would have noticed, we accessed that from the catalog menu, not the edit section. So under catalog, GenErase, and then this tool is very simple to use. We simply paint over the object that we want to remove, or the area of the photo that we want to have replaced. We then have our trusty red mask that indicates that that is the thing that we want erased. We click erase, and then we wait for the result to be generated. And when it is, we can see that now the boat is gone. And if I come down and bring my mouse off of the photo, we actually see just the photo itself, and we can use the eyeball tool to do a before and after, and that is pretty much perfect. If we're happy with it, we just come up here and we click save. And now Luminar Neo has put this new version into the generative creations folder there. So far so good. Let's have a look at another example. Not this one just yet. We're going to build up to that one. In this photo here, you can see I've included the sun in the sky, and that's created some lens refraction, bit of lens flaring going on across here, and we've got this big ugly spot right here. So what I want to see is, can GenErase actually remove that for me? So I'm going to just bring my brush size up to the size of the spot, and let's also do that for these bits over here as well. There's a little spot there, and let's click erase and see what it does. Now, the length of time that this takes, as I understand it, isn't so much dependent on the processing power of your computer, but rather what's going on in the cloud with Luminar Neo, because it's not done locally on your machine. It's Luminar Neo's processors that are actually calculating the result for you. From my playing around so far, I've seen that the time frames it takes to generate the results really does vary. I've had things come back very quickly like this one, and with that architectural one, I think I waited probably around 2 minutes to actually get the result back. So that is a factor that you need to consider with this tool, and my hunch is the greater the surface area of the photo that you're wanting to regenerate, that is what's going to determine the length of time it takes. So for this example, I just put a few spots on the screen, and it's, only taken a couple of seconds to actually bring that result back. Okay, so let's come down to the eye tool and let's look at our before and our after, and that has done a top-notch job in my opinion. I'm more than happy with that, so let's save it. Once again, that's put in the generative creations. Now let's go and have a little go at something more difficult. Let's say that we just want to isolate this beefy character here and we don't want his little friend over his shoulder or this one in the background. So again, I'm just going to paint over these elements. This cow over here we'll get rid of, and this fella as well, and let's see what it does for us. If you make a mistake, you can reset the selection, but that's not what I want to do in this case. I'm happy with my selection. Click Erase, and away Luminar goes again. So as you probably know, this is just one of many new generative AI technologies that is going to be introduced to Luminar Neo. And you may also know that the way Skylum have set this up is, unfortunately, if you own Luminar Neo outright, you have that base editor. These are additional tools that you're going to have to not purchase, but you'll need to have a subscription. So if you're already a monthly or yearly subscriber, you'll just have access to these tools, all the extensions, all that good stuff as they are rolled out. However, if you own Luminar Neo outright and you want access to this, what you can do if you don't want to go onto that subscription is you can purchase a creative pass, and that gives you a year access. And I can't remember the exact amount it is, but what I do have is the biggest discount that I've been given so far to offer to you guys from Skylum. It's a 31% discount. I'm going to put a link to that in the description below, so that gives you access to either the subscription, the creative pass, whatever you want with that discount code. Right, let's see what our result is like. So I'm going to come here, we're going to click the before. There we go, we've got 3 cows, one very large one, a couple of small ones, and this is it without them. So before and after. It's not perfect. If I zoom in, it's done an okay job. I'm happy enough with it, but like I say, it's not perfect. What we could do is reset the selection and just make another new little painted mask there and just erase that area and see what the result comes back with, and it may give us something better, which it has. So I said we were going to look at applications for this tool where it can help us in real world situations. And one of the things I'm hoping for is that it can help me with the panels I create for sky replacement. I'll often take photos of the sky, but I'm not near the sea where we have a completely sky to horizon shot. So often there's stuff on the horizon that I need to get rid of. And in the past, I've done it with cloning techniques, things like that. I'm hoping that I can streamline and speed up the process by using generative arrays. So let's have a look whether it's successful or not. These are the sort of examples I'm talking about. I've got a shot of these bizarre clouds, and this is just the local park near me. So one option would be obviously to crop it just above here. However, that's not taking the sky all the way to the horizon, so that's not ideal. So I'm just going to come in here and quickly paint over all this information of the local park along the horizon line. Get rid of the rugby posts. Any of you guys watching the Rugby World Cup at the moment? Okay, let's click Erase and see what it does. Okay, I call that an unmitigated disaster. That has not worked at all. It was worth a try, but nah, I'm not going to use it for that. I actually really don't know what to say about that. Okay, let's cancel that. And why don't I just give the other option a little go, because sometimes that detritus just doesn't go all the way along the horizon. Sometimes it is just in one corner or a little section. So let's just give this a quick go, paint this out. And the other thing I noticed with my mask in the previous one was I hadn't quite gone over the edge of all of the objects. I'd left a few little pixels here and there, and perhaps that threw it a little bit. Or perhaps I'm just making excuses for it. Okay, let's see how it does with this one. Come on, Neo, what can you do for me? Okay, that's a little bit better, but it's still not great for what I'm after. But I wonder if I reset the selection and just make one more sweep just along that bottom bit there, whether we can actually get rid of that. Again, I'm wondering, maybe I didn't mask completely over the whole of the object I was wanting to remove, and maybe that's the key. Okay, let's have a little look. Okay, it's still leaving just a little line at the bottom, but it is much better. I would say that's not perfect, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Just a slight crop along there would get rid of that. So this may just be one of those applications where it's worth giving it a try. If it doesn't work, then you just go back to the more time-consuming manual approach that we did in the past anyway. So not bad. Okay, let's try something more complicated. This is the one I'm building up to, but I'm kind of scared to do it. So let's do something similar. Apparently this tree in 𝗏𝗏𝗏 is one of the most photographed trees in the world, but it is always surrounded by tourists taking photos. So let's see whether we can't get rid of these tourists. Obviously, if I was doing a proper photo of the tree, I would just make sure I wasn't getting these guys in, but I just found it pretty amusing how many people were stood there. They were all along the bank getting the exact same shot. And also I'd recommend, if you're photographing something that other people often photograph, just try and capture it in a completely different way. So when I was there, I actually went back there about 5 a.m, nobody around, get the nice early morning light, get something a little different, shot it with a 10-stop neutral density filter as well, so it rendered the water completely smooth. But anyway, let's see whether we can get rid of these people or whether GenErase can do that for us. I've got a feeling because I've painted over more of the surface area of the photo, this one may take a little longer to actually generate a result. But it hasn't actually taken too long. Let's have a quick look at our before and after. That's actually done a very, very good job because it's matching the water. As you can see, if I remove that lady, the water there on the right hand side is very different from the water over on this side where we've got the sparkles, and you can see that those sun sparkles are actually being regenerated by the generative fill. Now let's move on to what I think is the most complex example, and we're going to be demanding the most of the AI to actually correct this. So if it can do it, I am just going to be mind blown. Okay, let's activate GenErase again, and I'm just going to start painting over the people. I guess we could be more precise with our masking and use the deselect and actually come in and remove edges or parts of the mask that we actually don't want to erase. And I suppose the less of the original that we're actually generating as an AI version, the more authentic the results are going to be. At least that's what I'm hoping. Right, I'm pretty happy with the mask. It's close enough. Let's hit erase and see what Luminar Neo can do for us. I'm actually pretty nervous. You guys might remember that I did a cloning tutorial where I showcased how to remove multiple people from an environment. It took ages. It was a really good example of how to use the clone tool, but very, very time consuming. So if GenErase can do that kind of thing for us automatically, I'm going to be a happy boy. So come on, Luminar Neo. And the masks have been filled with AI generated content. Let's do the hide and show, shall we? Let's zoom in a little bit and, oh my gosh, show. Oh, I'm getting all confused because I'm all excited. But that is looking really, really good. So before and after. It's a really good idea just to cast your eye a little bit more in detail if precision is your goal, and I guess it should be, right? These rocks here just look a little bit soft to me, so before and after, a little bit of softness through there. And the one area that is concerning me is where we've removed this guy here. It's kind of created a water/rock hybrid behind him, which isn't great. And I guess, again, that is where we can perhaps use this tool as a good leverage and get very close to what we're after, and then come in and fine tune things with the cloning tool where we sample from one bit. So I could sample the water from the left hand side and just paint it over where he is. So that's an option there. So let me give you a quick conclusion on my limited use of the GenErase tool. Bear in mind, it's still in beta mode. It is going to get better and more accurate over time because all AI tools are trained on the information that's plugged into them. So the more it's running these kind of computations and analyzing photos, the better and more authentic the results are going to be. But as a starting point, it's still very, very good. And one thing that I have noticed is, particularly with more complex things where it doesn't give you the result that you're after, it's not the end of the world. Sometimes it can be like 80-90% of the way there, like in this example here, very complex scene. It's just that one guy that I need to replace. So absolutely, I can come in and clone that guy out. But doing that, it's so much quicker still than me trying to individually clone all of those people out. And in fact, if I had a photo like that, I'd just be overwhelmed by the mess and chaos that was in that shot, and I wouldn't even bother with it. So it does open up a lot more possibilities for us, and I look forward to playing with it more in the future. I hope you guys do too. Like I said, if you don't have access to this or the other AI tools and you want to get it, I've got that discount code in the link below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video. Whew. I didn't expect to be coming straight back from my holiday straight into making a video, but I couldn't leave you guys hanging because this is an exciting new tool for Luminar Neo. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye for now.